Hickok 45 here, and guess what I have? You can read, I'll bet you already know. The old Colt Lightning, yes, pump action rifle. This is actually a Pedersoli reproduction of it, and a nice one. It's pretty, isn't it? Look at that thing. Yeah, not cheap. I think they sell for around $1,700 new. So a pretty gun, but not pretty inexpensive. It is fairly costly. So you may not be familiar with it. We're going to shoot it and tell you a little bit about it. You've been requesting that we get a hold of one of these, and I don't know if I'd ever end up with a Colt Lightning, an original. I'm not sure it appeals to me enough to want to own one, but since you requested it, we got a hold of this baby, and I'm going to go ahead and try it out. Now, it's called the Lightning partly because, or mainly because it's fast as lightning. You think? Well, let's just shoot it and see if I can hit anything with it. All right, pump action. Okay, feels okay. It's like a pump. It's a little awkward until you get in the groove, but you know, supposedly very fast. So I don't know. I've shot it a fair amount, and it does okay. Supposedly you can keep it on target better because you're working the bolt up here and not doing that kind of thing. So I'm not so sure. What else was I going to tell you about it? I'm going to shoot it. So yeah, the claim to fame on this rifle, at least according to Colt, was that it's supposed to cycle really fast, and you know, that advantage of the pump and everything, different from what you see over there, a lever gun. And the magazine on it happens to be loaded. I thought I'd just shoot that too, get a feel. And I haven't worked out with these things, and okay, let's spend a couple hours seeing how fast I can work this pump or that lever gun. But I have shot it some. Let me try this. Okay, I'm gonna shoot the same targets just to give you a look. This is 4440, about the same power factor. My hand loads versus this, there's just virtually no difference. So anyway, let's just shoot some with this. Missed. Oops, where did cool. Let's hit a plate. Oh, let's go. So I don't know from watching. This isn't the rifle I used to compete with. Some I used to compete with a Marlin 94. I think maybe I could shoot a little bit faster. Maybe even my 1873. But I don't know. This is as good as any. So the verdict for me is I don't know that I really can shoot this pump rifle any faster than a lever gun. All right. So lest you think because of your inexperience with these sorts of firearms that you're going to be able to shoot this thing like twice or three times as fast as a good lever gun, I don't think that's really the case. Okay. For one thing, when you're shooting, and we've demonstrated this with pump shotguns versus a semi-automatic shotgun. Granted, it can be faster in the shotgun world, and this is a little bit different. This is manually operated in both cases, right? So you've got to you acquire, after you fire, bang, you've got to reacquire your sight picture on the target you're trying to hit, which takes a little bit of time. And really the same amount of time basically it takes to work the action, whichever firearm that you're using. So I don't know, some of you folks that are into cowboy action shooting, I have seen on the internet and doing some research that some of you use this. I don't know, it's been a while since I've done any of those matches, and I was telling John, so if this was a whole lot faster, I'm sure you would see a lot of these in the hands of top competitors in cowboy action shooting. Now that may be more the case now, but it wasn't when I was doing a lot of it. In fact, I'm not sure I remember anybody with one of these. But that would be the case. Just like with the shotgun, you see a lot of really top competitors with the 1897 pump guns. Got them all slicked up and tuned up, because if you really work at it, the top end potential is greater with a pump shotgun. You can actually shoot it a little faster, even though you're limited to 2 shots. generally, to load it. The very top, excuse me, the very top competitors will tend to use an 1897. Okay, I'm talking the really top competitors, the fastest people out there. They work at it, work at it, work at it, work at it, and they have determined that they can shave off a little time with a pump shotgun. Okay, I'm not sure that's the case here. If it were, that's what they would be using, I would think. Because, man, the people that are at the top of that game, cost is irrelevant. Yeah, we are with our competition and our toys, and we guys, especially, we don't mind spending the money if it'll give us an edge, right? So, but I don't know, that may have changed. That's why I was asking. Let me know. So I don't see a lot of difference. I don't gain a lot myself. I don't feel like I gain anything. It may be because I have shot lever guns so much. So, but anyway, it's a nice piece of hardware. Isn't it beautiful or what? And loading gate, and this is the release here, if you notice. Okay, the slide locks up until you push that. I kind of like that, where that is. That's neat. And I think this is pretty authentic to the originals that they started making in 1884. They were made basically from 1884 to 1904. So, Kentucky, how long is that? I think it's 20 years. And they made, I think, about 90,000 of these in the mid-size, or maybe all totaled. Because they made it eventually in a smaller frame for like 22 small cartridges. And they also made it in a bigger frame for like 50 calibers and different things, okay? I think this was the most popular model, though. And it came out in 4440, I believe. Very popular chambering. That's one reason I have this Colt out here. Hey, Colt made both of these, right? At least the originals. This is 4440, and I think Colt started making the Peacemaker in 4440, called the Frontier model, in 1877. I've told you all that before, so just go back to the video. And so it was already a popular chambering. Of course, the 1873 rifle came out in 4440. 44 Winchester, called at the time. So it had been out. Colt was making a pistol in that chambering, and it was pretty popular because a lot of people loved the 1873 Winchester, and they were matching it up with the same chambering in their handgun and everything. And so it made sense when you bring this out. And Marlin was out in that chamber. That's a Winchester, but Marlin had the 4440, I believe. And so, it made sense. Nice cartridge, mid-size round. And again, none of these were chambered in 45 Colt back in the day. Okay, I've told you all that before. Hope you're taking notes now. 45 Colt was not chambered in any of the rifles, in the old days. Okay, even though it was an old cartridge, it goes back to 1873. Today, a lot of these rifles are. It just makes sense. Okay, but and this is 45 Colt. But yeah, so it came out in 4440, and it's pretty popular. They sold like 90,000 of them. It's just something I've never had. In fact, this is the first one I've ever fired. Let me load it while I'm yakking at you. The first one I've ever fired. I'll put some federal ammo in it. Now, I discovered something, and I'm not sure what the reason is. So it is a little finicky about cartridge length or something. The jacketed ammo cannot get in. Now, the other thing that's unusual about it is the slide has to be back in order to load it. Okay, these just won't go in. And there's hardly any difference between my hand loads at all. And these are a little bit lighter. Let's see, 225 grain Federals. And so they're a little shorter, and that's got to be it, the length and then the shape of the bullet, in the case. So can't shoot those jacketed rounds unless I shoot them one at a time. But these will load too. So let's shoot some Federal ammo. Okay, it holds 10. I think it probably would hold 12. There's probably a plug in the. Whoops! There, try and put that one. I get that thing. Where did I get that? Yeah, from this box. That ammo. Use the right ammo. I think we have a video on that. I think there's probably a plug in the magazine to where it'll just hold 10, so that it can still be shipped to various states where freedom is a little bit of a problem, right? But as I said before, no telling how many lives are saved in those states because the lever actions and pump action antique rifles or replicas of are limited to 10 rounds. It's probably saved thousands of lives, don't you think? Now, this is the negative, okay? You're watching the negative of this rifle, okay? Is loading it. It's a little awkward to load, okay? Well, that's even getting more awkward. you have to use the old Jimmy Stewart method, as we call it sometimes, and push the other one in there. I've discovered it's the best way, but I don't know what it is about it. I've been trying to figure out, it doesn't seem that the loading gate is that much smaller. It's just awkward. Here we go again. There we go. I don't know if my handler's a little bit easier. It's a bit finicky. I think they're a little bit easier, than a little more of a rounded bullet. So I don't know. These will fit and they work okay. So the bottom line there is you would need to test your ammo, talk to some people, and be aware that some ammo it's not going to like. Okay. So, but I did count. It holds 10 rounds. I guess that's 10. Wow. So it's a sweet shooter. It's a beautiful rifle. It's, I think, very authentic in design and everything, with a few improvements to make it more safe. But it's a bit of a bear to load. For John and me both, I think that's the number one negative. I wouldn't want to deal with it myself. It's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things. It'll probably get easier to load as you own it and fire it. But it's a bit awkward to begin with. All right, let's shoot something. Let's just shoot the gong. Tired of fooling around with it. Well, there we go. I must have shot low. Or high. Let's go a little higher. Oh yeah, I was holding too low. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was holding too low. All right, let's try some 2 liters here closer. Yeehaw! Gotta smoke some pot. Maybe that'll make it work more smoothly. So, I mean, the cycle's fine. Just getting the ammo in there is a little, I don't know, a little awkward. Let's just put it that way. And you got to remember to hold to have the slide back. So what do I need to tell you about? I don't know everything there is about it. If you're an expert in these, if you have one, maybe you even compete with one, you just love these Colt Lightnings. We've had several requests for them. Let us know what you think about yours, and if you have one of these, has it loosened up for you? Is it load a little bit easier? What ammo do you find loads the easiest? And just some of those basics. So I think it just depends on the bullet. It's a big factor. And then once you get kind of the hang of it, it's not too bad. At least it doesn't cut you up like some lever actions where you come back with blood, just from loading the thing. It's just a little awkward to get it in there. It might help if we took the plug out. I'm sure there's a plug in there, because that length of barrel should definitely hold, I would say 12, maybe even 13, and I'm not going to mess with that. For one thing, it goes back to e-gunner, buzzing. Someone in California or someone might end up with it. I don't know, is this legal in California? It's probably considered a deadly assault rifle out there. I don't know, or New Jersey or somewhere like that. Yeah, I mean, once you kind of get the hang of it, they go in okay. It's just a little bit. It's not as smooth as most of my lever guns. That's what it's by comparison. It's like that. So anyway, let me get that. I might have filled her up there already. Okay. Yeah, just beautiful rifle. It's just gorgeous, and an interesting piece of history. Really, you get right down to it. As I understand, Colt and Winchester back in the early 1880s had kind of a gentleman's agreement, as it's called, that Winchester would not make handguns if Colt would not make rifles or lever guns. Okay. Now I don't know. There's something there that maybe they did specify they wouldn't make lever guns, because Winchester was famous for making all these successful lever guns from the Henry right on up, And let's see, that was in the 1880s, early 80s, so there's already several. But maybe Colt didn't agree not to make rifles. They just agreed not to make lever guns. And I think this was actually designed by a former Remington employee. So they made it, and they sold a bunch of them, and fairly popular and easy to carry and shoot. And a lot of people probably preferred a pump. You know, if you don't, I have a lot of experience with lever guns. I don't need to tell you that, do I? And so naturally, a lever gun just feels more natural, you know, to me than this, even though I shoot a lot of pump shotgun. So yeah, I think it's the short stroke on it, which it feels kind of weird. You know, with a shotgun, it's just, boom, 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 you know, it just, yeah, I don't know, it just feels more natural. Part of the unnatural feel of this is that short little stroke on it. Yeah, come to think of it, I think that's what it is. You feel like it needs to go out further than it does. You know. So let's shoot something here. And oh, look at that pot. It's got something in it. Whee, doggies. And how about that? Woo, didn't even aim. Wow, what a marksman. There's another one. Let's put a couple on this paper target, and I'll pretend it's trying to attack me. All right. Okay, so you can shoot it pretty fast if you're just shooting at the same target, of course. Let's put it up. Now I know I'm out of ammo. I'm just trying to get the rhythm. So maybe with practice you actually could shoot this faster, particularly if you're not having to reacquire a different target. You know, I don't know. So anyway, probably too much talk about that. Like it really matters. Like you're going into combat with this, and you can't decide between this and a lever gun. But anyway, that is one of the things they claim about it. And you know, I was saying, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If I were forced to go into combat tomorrow with either this gun or a lever gun, I would probably choose a lever gun. Not enough difference, not any difference for me, really. So, yeah, they made these from about 1884 to 1904, and Colt. That's what's kind of the unique thing about it. Now, this one's again made by Pedersoli. It's a reproduction of it, but it was the Colt Lightning, and it's kind of interesting. You know, we don't think about Colt when we think Colt, at least the old days. We think this kind of thing, don't we? We think handguns. Now today we don't. We think AR-15s and you know, 1911s and everything else. Well, AR-15s, you know, and but back in the 1800s, you know, rifles just wasn't the first thing that would come to mind. Now, the other thing about this, too, is in terms of history and that sort of thing, you know, 1884 and then up until 1904, it wasn't around as early as the lever gun, you know, as far as the romance of the lever action rifle and everything, you know, beginning in even the late 1850s and then 1860 with the Henry and everything. So this was quite a few years later, not as much the days of the the truly wild west, perhaps, but pretty popular, I think, amongst lots of folks. And again, you got, you know, it's nice buckhorn rear sights, adjustable for elevation there or even windage. Okay, same for the front sight, you know, brass bead. You can adjust after windage. This thing, and I've not fired an original. I've held a couple of them at gun shows, I think, but it just feels really solid. The checkering feels really, really good on this thing. You know, it looks like it's tapped for scope, tang sights rather, that sort of thing. And just a beautiful piece of hardware and priced accordingly, you know. So if you really want one of these that's this pretty and that kind of wood, it's going to cost, right? But pretty nice rifle. I feel like there's something I'm leaving out, but I mean, you see it, and anything you want to know about it, I'm sure is out there. And it came in different configurations and weights and chamberings. I think this one, Pedersoli, I believe, is available in 357 Magnum, 45 Colt, 4440. That may have changed, I don't know. But you know, your popular chamberings for these sorts of guns, lever guns, and you know, there's just something special about these rifles that have this octagonal barrel too, just like that old Winchester you're looking at there. It just really takes you back to the days of yore, doesn't it? It's just really, really neat. And again, 45 Colt, you know, They were not chambered in that in the old days, but nowadays we just chamber a lot of rifles in that, and the rim is a little bit bigger on the newer cartridges, and it is an old cartridge, you know, 1873, so it's not like you're chambering it in 357 SIG or something like that, distasteful as that might sound, right, in an old historical gun. So 4440, as I understand, was probably the most popular, you know, chambering, and again, you know, you had the handguns out by that time, chambered in it. You know, a lot of firearms, other firearms chambered in it. So that ammo was really popular, that caliber at that time. 44 Winchester, as we call it at the time. So Colt Lightning, if you see one, they're pretty distinctive looking, aren't they? You really can't mistake them for much else. You know what, before I let you go, I probably ought to kill one animal. I should probably knock over one animal. What do you think? Let's just put a couple in here. And I'll struggle with the loading again. Actually, I'm getting this broken in for somebody. It won't be so hard. How many rounds do you think it'll take? I've got to hit at least one animal. Okay, yeah, you've been watching me shoot. I better put a lot in there, right? Now, this will be enough. I think I got to push that one in. Get him all the way in there. Figured out that, there we go. All right, that's 5 or 6. We got to get a pig. Got to get a pig. All right, how about that one right in the middle? Probably went low. That one went high. Well, I didn't put enough ammo in. Let me try that one over on the left. I can see it more clearly. Okay, I was holding too low. Good thing on the last round. I figured it out just in time, didn't I? So if you take enough shots, you get an idea where you're missing, right? And that is one of the things about shooting steel, you know, shooting these plates or anything like this. If you've ever struggled doing that, largely it's because you don't know where you're missing. Like you could take a couple shots with a handgun you hadn't shot before at those swinging plates right here, and you miss them. And it's hard to know how to adjust. Well, where to go? Did I shoot high, low, left, right? You know, so it's always one of the issues if you don't see the impact. So anyway, a nice gun, expensive gun, but a nice gun. And by the way, we love for you to get into shooting more than anything, but make sure you can afford it if you're going to buy a gun like this, right? Yeah. So you know, we don't want to be responsible for killing your budget, or if you have to live out on the street, right? But for those who can swing $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 and just love this type of rifle, you know, there it is. So we try to do just at least show you some guns that are expensive, some that are not, and let you know what we think about them. What I think about that is it's a really neat piece of history. I'm not partial to the pump on this gun. I'm not partial to the way it loads. It's a little bit awkward. But as you saw, it does okay. You know, you probably have more coordination than I have. You wouldn't have that kind of trouble. And as far as negatives, that would be a little bit of a negative for me. Not crazy about the pump and the expense of it. You know, not crazy about that. But I've been known to spend too much, or not too much, but spend a fair amount on a firearm before. But because of my overall impression of it, I probably wouldn't buy one. Okay, that's just me. That's just me, and that's just my honest opinion. So it's been great to bring you these. Yeah, man, we get the historical guns and the reproductions of historical guns out. It's just a great day for me. You know that, don't you, by now? So the Colt Lightning, I think this is called the Pedersoli Lightning pump action rifle, I believe is what they call it. And I think that's what Colt kind of called it. Colt Lightning, maybe slide action or pump action rifle. Pretty hard to confuse with anything else though, isn't it? Because it's a little bit different. So anyway, glad you could come by. We appreciate your support and your support of the people who support us, that make all this possible. You know who the people are that help us, and you're amongst them. So keep watching, and we'll keep coming out with firearms and shooting them for you. So thanks a lot. Life is good. Oh, hi.
since you guys are here, just killing a little time. I've already seen this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. While you're here, I want to remind you to please check out our friends over at SDI and TalonGunGrips.com. SDI is a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can become associated, get an associate's degree, and be associated with some good people, get an associate's degree in firearms technology, and get certified in gunsmithing. That's SDI.edu. And also, Talon Grips makes grips for grip tape for lots of different types of handguns and other purposes. As you can see right there, they have a lot of cool stuff over on their website. Go to TalonGunGrips.com. I think you'll be glad you checked that out, and also SDI. So appreciate both of those people and support them if it makes sense for you, as we always ask. Also, since you're here, just want to further remind you that we do have a website. It's called hickok45.com. That's HICKOK45.com. Some people try to misspell it on us. So go check that out. That's where you can find all kinds of things over there, like our social media, the real Hickok45 on Instagram, Hickok45 on Twitter and Facebook. I have an Instagram page, John_Hickok45. Let's see, our merchandise is on our website, and also bunkerbranding.com. You can find it there too. And we have videos on Gunstreamer now, so if you want to check that out, watch us somewhere other than YouTube, do that. And also don't forget about our Patreon page. We got some good people over in the Gong Club on our Patreon page, so if that's something you're interested in, check that out. We post videos over there. Occasionally they don't go on YouTube, or you get like an early look, something like that. So check that stuff out. Feel free to watch some other videos, and I got to get back to my axe throwing here because if the apocalypse comes, all the Glocks and 1911s and SIGs and XDs and Walthers and H&Ks might not be any ammo to shoot in those, so I might have to resort back to tools like this. So I'll get back to my training, and I'll let you guys get back to watching videos. Thank you.